welcome back to my channel. This is Alaka here for EPCreativeMedia, and I'm back with another brand new video. Today I'm back with a tutorial just for you, and this particular tutorial, as you might have already seen through the thumbnail and the video title, is how to create custom loading screens. Yes, I have always wanted an opportunity to be able to create my own custom loading screens, and of course, as I usually do when I learn something new, I love being able to share it with others, and so here I am. But before we proceed, I would just like to give you a little reminder for those who are not yet subscribed to my channel. Please do not forget to click on that subscribe button, and of course click on that bell button so that you can receive notifications every time I upload a new video or upload new content. And of course, leave your comments down below. If you're going to find this video very helpful and you're able to actually follow the steps, please do leave your comments down below and let me know what you think. And of course, share this video to others who might find it interesting and helpful, and of course give it a thumbs up, as this helps me so much in the algorithm. Obviously, I've literally got like a handful of subscribers, but my aim is to reach the minimum of 500 subscribers. So let's push those subscriber count up. We are on the road to 500 subscribers. Now, moving right along, let's get started. Like I said, I am showing you how to create custom loading screens, and so the things that you are going to be requiring are JPEGs decompiler, Sims 4 Studio either dark mode or normal mode. Dark mode is actually called Star, and then the normal mode is called Wishes. You're going to be needing a photo editing software such as Photoshop or Photopea, and then obviously some beautiful pictures of your liking. In landscape mode, that's very important, please take a note of that, in landscape mode. So these can be either downloaded for free from Pexels, Unsplash, Pixabay or FreePic, or alternatively it might have been pictures that you have taken yourself or pictures that you have taken in-game in terms of screenshots, or just artwork that you have created for yourself within any photo editing software. And so I'm quickly just going to go through the browsers so that you can see what I'm talking about. And so you are basically going to be needing JPEGs decompiler, which is available on GitHub. Okay, if you are using Windows, you're going to be needing to install the Windows version. Majority of my tutorial is Windows based, but I think anyone that uses Mac will be able to follow it, as the commands are kind of almost similar in the sense that a lot of the things is control and whatever command, and then in Apple it is CMD, which is command and then whatever it is, right? And then once you have downloaded the JPEGs, right, and you are struggling to launch it, and it's giving you an error and saying that you might be missing Java, something to do with Java. Basically, it's this that it's referring to, and so I have actually got that available in the manual that I've created. I created a step-by-step user manual for you to actually be able to create your own loading screen, and so the link to this is going to be available within that PDF file. All you have to do is just click on the image itself of the screenshot of this, and then you'll be able to go, it will take you straight to this page so that you can be able to download it. And then, like I mentioned, you're going to be needing Sims 4 Studio. Obviously this is the download link at the bottom. Always go for the download installer as opposed to the zip, it's a lot easier. I'm going to scroll all the way to the top because this one is actually called Sims 4 Studio Star, because it's the dark mode, and then there's Sims 4 Studio Wishes, which is the normal mode. So this one's not going to be in dark mode, it's just going to be the normal one that everybody's kind of used to. And then in regards to the pictures, like I mentioned, there is FreePic. FreePic has got a premium version. If you see these little crowns, it's a premium edition, but if you don't see them, when it comes to pictures like this, basically these are images that are free for you to download. I think they normally ask that you credit the person who actually took the photograph. There's no harm in giving someone credit, to be honest, and so you can go ahead and do that. And then there is Pixabay. Pixabay has some gorgeous pictures. You can see this picture right here. This one is absolutely gorgeous. That one too. I actually like quite a few of them. Maybe I'll download one of these. I'll see. Oh, even that one. Now I'm getting like a kid in a candy store. Unsplash is another website. As you can see, I've got some gorgeous pictures already loaded here, and again there's loads to choose from. And when I say landscape, you don't have to necessarily download a landscape picture, but when you do place it in Photoshop or Photopea, you will have to resize it without skewing it, maintaining its aspect ratio, which I will show you how to, and then just make sure it fills the entire space of the landscape shape that you're going to be needing to resize at a later stage. Okay. And then there's Pexels. Pexels is actually one of my favorite ones. This is one of the ones that I recently did, and so if I click on that, you can see with Pexels there are some other. Oh, this is absolutely gorgeous. I think I might actually use this one. This is so pretty. It's different. I love it. So I think I'm actually going to download this. As you can see, I'm going to end up putting this in landscape mode, so I'm not going to be capturing the entire bottom or the entire top, but that is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and download this particular picture, and I'm going to save it in the images folder that I have already created. I've already got a section for my mods, for my own mods, where I compartmentalize everything and I try to organize everything as much as I possibly can. And then, like I mentioned, the other software that you're going to be needing is Photoshop or Photopea. So I'm just going to click on Photoshop there and opening up, and Photoshop, pretty much this is it. As you can see, even just by the look of it, it kind of mirrors the way Photoshop works, you know. So for those who are not, who do not have, should I say, an Adobe Creative Cloud subscription, the next best thing would be Photopea, because it takes Photoshop documents, it takes Illustrator, XD, Sketch, PDF, you know, XCF, RAW, and any other JPEG, PNG, GIF, TIFF, you know, SVG, DDS, you know. So it's kind of good for that. You can literally open files from the computer. You can install Photopea. Technically, installing Photopea is actually just installing the shortcut to the website, so that when you open it, it opens without the browser. So pretty much what mobile apps do when certain websites allow you to download just the thumbnail onto your phone, desktop, and you can just have easy access to it rather than having to go to a browser. That's pretty much what it means by install Photopea. You're not literally downloading the entire exe file onto your computer. And so whilst Photoshop is opening, I've literally shown you everything that you need to see up here. I'm actually going to close all these other windows because I honestly do not need them open. Everything has been downloaded, everything is pretty much ready, and everything should be ready when you go ahead and download. And bearing in mind, you can choose the location of where you want to download your software if you want to. That is completely and utterly optional. Okay, so now to get started with the after the download of the main software, the first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be opening Sims 4 Studio. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to open Sims 4 Studio. And now once you've got Sims 4 Studio open, if you are opening Sims 4 Studio for the very first time, there is a section here that says creator name. I would highly recommend that you go ahead and you put your creator name there, and also I think there's a section that allows you to actually have a certain amount of previous projects that you have worked on. And so whilst in Sims 4 Studio, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to click on Tools, and then we are going to click on Create Empty Package. I almost skipped to that step, but that step is going to come in a minute. Create Empty Package. And when we create empty package, as soon as you click on create empty package, it will be asking you basically to save it, to save the package file. And so for me, because I have previously used the loading screen folder, it takes me directly there. If you have not previously used a particular folder with Sims 4 Studio, it will take you to the last location that you used. And if you have not got a last location, it likely would just take you straight to documents, I think, or images or somewhere there, or the desktop. And so you just have to go and navigate to the section where you want to save the package file and go ahead and name it and save it. In this case, I'm going to name this as Pink Tree Landscape. Pink tree on water, yeah, on water, landscape, landscape, loading screen. Okay, pink tree on water, landscape. It's pink, it's pinkish purple, right? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, and then go ahead and save. Okay, once you have gone and saved your folder or your file, should I say, you should see the warehouse pop up. The warehouse is normally the back end of a lot of like custom content, but because the loading screens kind of work in a slightly different way as the normal standard custom content, you won't actually see an image of it that you can hover around and see what it looks like, etc. It doesn't appear that way. So instead you will get the back end of it, which is the warehouse. And so within the warehouse, you have to now go back. Like I said, I almost skipped that step. You have to go back and click on tools again, and then you have to click on game file cruiser. When you click on game file cruiser, you can see it's loading, and once it's loaded up, it is going to bring up this screen, which is going to be the pop-up that will come right above it. And this particular pop-up, when it comes up, the next step, you will be needing to input a particular code in the instance. Now this particular code is literally one code for everyone. Okay, this is the code that was available in the tutorial that I initially used from Sims 4 Studio website, and so that's literally the same code that I went and collected, and I saved it basically in a TXT file. And so I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go and collect that particular code. And so I'm going to go to the Sims 4, what's this, 188 fonts were added. Oh wow, is that what it's doing? So I'm going to go ahead to the loading screens folder. I'm going to go to my documents within it, and then I'm going to open this TXT file. As you can see, it's open and it's right there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it. Okay, it's already copied on my clipboard right now, but I'm just, for all intents and purposes, I'm just copying it so that people can actually see exactly how I'm doing it. So right click, highlight, right click, and then copy, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste it in the instance. When I paste it in the instance, the next step is I'm actually going to click on all. Okay, when I click on all of them literally get selected, the ambience, animation, blah blah blah, etc. But you also notice something else happened when I did that. Okay, at the bottom, two tabs popped up, list and thumbnails, and the scale form GFX file actually popped up on the bottom because that's the one we've gone ahead and we have created. Okay, and so after we have gone and we have done that, the next step of this process is to actually export it. So make sure whatever you do, you have to have selected scale form GFX first. Make sure that it highlights blue if you're using dark mode, or whatever color it highlights into if you're using the normal mode, and then go ahead and click on export. Now when we export, we're actually exporting the binary version of this particular file. Okay, so in this case, remember I called it pink tree on water landscape loading screen, and then normally sometimes I don't know, it might be different on your computer, that it will pop up what I saved the package file as, which is always handy, saves you having to type everything all over again, and just remove the top .package file extension, and then that way it saves it as a binary. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click save. Okay, once I've clicked save, you've noticed that it's actually opened the file explorer to show me exactly where that file is, and you find that that file is right next to the package file that I created. So we've got the binary version as well as the package file version of the file. And so at this stage, we are now going to be doing some changes. The changes that we're going to be making is renaming the file from binary to GFX. Okay, GFX, and the reason why we have to rename it to GFX because the JPEGs, that's the only format that it will be able to accept in order for us to do the conversion for the loading screen to actually work, to be imported back into the package file so that it works in game. I know, long process, but to be honest, it seems complicated, but once you do it a couple of times, it's actually really, really simple. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually rename this file. Now, before I go ahead and rename this file, for those who do not have this ribbon at the top here and they do not see it, and maybe they think that, oh, what am I doing wrong, etc., all you have to do is go to the very end on the right of your Explorer, File Explorer, and look for that little arrow. It should be facing the other way. So if this section is not visible on your computer, it should look like this, right? If this is all you are seeing, my recommendation is that you click that so that it's visible. There's some people who do not like it being visible. That's fine. For me, I prefer it to be visible because it allows me for lots of shortcuts and I don't constantly have to right click on files in order to get certain menu items, basically. And so we are going to be renaming it, right? Sorry, I almost skipped something else. Before I get to that, if you cannot see the file extension, you see how this says .jpeg, .package, .gfx, .binary. If you cannot see any of those, I recommend that you click on view. And when you click on view, on the panel, you're going to find a section that says show/hide. And so the file name extension should be checked. If it's not checked, that's the reason why you cannot see the file extension. So go ahead and check it so that you can see the file extensions, and then you'll be able to actually edit, because if the file extension is not showing, it will actually not permit you to change the file extension. You will think that you are changing it, but in fact you're just renaming the actual file, but the file extension itself remains the same. So be careful about that. Make sure that the file extension, like it literally says dot whatever the file extension is actually showing, because only then will you be able to edit and rename the file extension, as I'm about to do right now. And so in this instant, I have selected the pink tree on water landscape loading screen .binary, and then I'm just going to click on rename. You can right click. When you right click, obviously the rename option is there, or you can just go ahead and click rename up there. When you click rename up there, you can see it highlights the actual name and leaves out the file extension, but the file extension is the one that we're going to be renaming. So you just have to click within the box and highlight the file extension and simply change it to GFX, ensuring that all caps are off. Okay, GFX, and then press the enter key. When you press enter, you're going to have this pop up which basically tells you if you change a file name extension, the file might become unusable. Are you sure you want to change it? Go ahead and say yes. Okay, when you go ahead and say yes, it automatically changes the file. So the file is no longer a .binary file, is now a .gfx file. Now the next step that we are going to be taking after we have done this is we are going to go ahead and open the JPEGs software. So on your start menu or wherever it is that you're going to, or desktop or your toolbar, if it's down there, I don't have it down there, so I'm going to get it from the start menu. Click on start, go to wherever it is or down the menu. Mine is right there in the start menu, and I'm just going to click on it. And when you click on it, you just have to wait for it to load up. Okay, and so now that the JPEGs has loaded up, it should look something like this. Okay, normally if there's a latest edition or version available, it will actually have a pop-up that will tell you that there's a new version available. Do you want to go download it? All you have to do is just look to see what version you have up there and compare with the new version it's telling you. If it's identical, just cancel. If it's not, click OK to take you to the browser to download the latest one. However, if you have just downloaded it, chances are you have the latest version. You won't be needing to go back to the browser to download it, if that makes sense. And so, as you see the screen, that's the window that's on the screen right now, the next step is to simply open, and you are going to be importing the binary file that you just converted to GFX. And so all you have to do is click on open. When you click on open, you're going to get that pop-up screen, and then within that pop-up screen you just have to go and look for it within your folder. So in mine, I'm kind of close by because I've used this a few times now. I'm going to go to loading screen, and I'm just going to look for the GFX. So I call this pink tree on water landscape loading screen, and that's that one. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to click open. And when I go ahead and click open, you are actually going to have this warning that says the SW file, blah blah blah. It says quite a bit. Basically, all you have to do is just no to all. That's literally all you have to do. Don't worry about anything else. Okay, once you've done that, the pink tree on water landscape loading screen GFX will open with a drop down of menus, basically folders. The one that you need is the one that says shapes. All you have to do is click on shapes. When you click on shapes, you're going to see this entire screen of red boxes and shapes, etc., that sort of thing. There's only one that we are interested in, and that's the blue one, my favorite color. And so with the blue shape selected, Now this is the part where I normally skip. I'll be very honest with you. I skip this part because it has no benefit to me because of the method that I tweaked from the original tutorial. So the original tutorial basically asks you to select it, right click and export selection. When you export the selection, you get this little pop-up. It actually appeared on my other screen, so I've just brought it over. You get this little pop-up, and on this pop-up normally the zoom says 100%. If your zoom says 100%, please do change it to 416.5% and make sure that the shapes are in PNG format and everything there should be check marked. Okay, and when you have that all set, click OK. The aim of this is basically so that you are able to export a shape that you can be able to use as a template for your shapes. Now, the problem with the shape and you trying to fit your picture in there is the not knowing whether you get the shape right or not. But I'm going to explain that when I am in Photoshop. Okay, so just hold that thought. I'm going to explain it when we get to the Photoshop section of this tutorial. And so at this point, please click OK. When you click OK, it's going to ask you to select directory to export to, and the directory is basically where you want to save that particular shape, right? And so in this case, it's within the loading screen folder. So I'm just going to go ahead and click open. As you can see, I've got shapes there, so it's literally just going to replace that one. So I'm going to click open, and then that should have automatically happened. I don't even need to go check because I know for a fact it's going to be there. Okay, and so after we have gone and we have done that, the next step is basically for us to go ahead and go into Photoshop. Okay, so feel free to minimize, do not close it, minimize JPEGs. Okay, when we minimize JPEGs, we are now going to go ahead and go to Photoshop. So in this case, let me have a look. Has Photoshop opened? No, it didn't. Okay, so now that you have Photoshop open, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give you like a double tutorial on this for those who are using Photoshop and for those who are using Photopea as well. Okay, and so I've got Photopea opened here on the browser, and I've got Photoshop open. For both of them, literally the method is literally the same. File, click on File, you click on New. And when you click on File and you click on New, the next step is to make sure that you get the right aspect ratio for the document you're about to create. In this case is 920p and 1080p. Okay, you have to have it in that same exact format. And then obviously your document is going to be untitled in Photoshop, so go ahead and title it. In our case, we're going to call it the pink tree on water landscape loading screen. Yes, pink tree on water landscape loading screen, and then click on create. You don't have to do anything else, and click on create. So with Photopea, the methodology is literally the same. You click on File, you click on New, and then again, because I've tested it out in Photopea as well, you've got the 920, you've got the 180p. This one says colorful landscape from the previous one, but I'm going to say I'm going to go pink tree on water landscape loading screen. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same, and I'm going to click create. And the reason why I'm showing you both Photopea and Photoshop is because in as much as majority of the elements on how they work are exactly the same, there are a few that are slightly different, and I want to make sure that those who maybe are not using Photoshop actually know exactly what methods to utilize when they are using Photopea. Okay, and so now that we've got both documents open, the next step, again, very similar, but there's a slightly different key that you have to use for each one. For Photoshop, you can go to File, and then you can click on place linked. Okay, File and place linked, or you can literally go and find the file in your file explorer and drag and drop it into Photoshop. Okay, so I'm going to click on place linked, and then this takes me straight to the picture, and I'm going to pick that one. Oh, it's gorgeous. And I'm gonna place, and I'm not even a big fan of the color pink, just put it this way, but this photograph is absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and so as you can see, it doesn't completely fit in the frame, right? So this is what we're going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press Alt, literally pressing the Alt key, and then I'm going to scroll backwards on the mouse key. Scroll backwards on the mouse so that I basically zoom out, because I want to be able to see when I stretch it out this way. So by stretching, I'm literally meaning stretching it without skewing it. There's a difference, okay? So do not click on that check mark or that check mark there, because there's a shortcut that pops up every time with Photoshop these days, which is really cool. I love this new feature. For some reason, I just really love it. So all you have to do is press on Alt and Shift at the same time and click on a corner and then stretch it out. That way it does not lose its aspect ratio, it maintains its aspect ratio, it doesn't get skewed up, and you still get a perfect picture. Now at this point, that's when I'm gonna actually click on OK or the check mark, and then I'm actually just going to use the arrow keys because I want the tree to come down a little bit and be right in the center. There we go. And that is absolutely perfect. And now I'm going to go over to Photopea and I'm going to show you how this import option works. Now the reason why this import option works differently is because when you press Ctrl T in Photoshop, it selects the image, but when you press Ctrl T in Photopea, this is what happens. You see, it opens a new tab, and so you cannot use that. Instead, it's got this option that says transform control. So if you're using Photopea for the first time, you might find it's deselected and distances are deselected. So once you've selected it and you maintain your certain cache on your browser, it will maintain your previous settings. With me, I always like to keep the distances and the transform controls as well as auto select check marked, and so that's why they are already selected. But this is your Control T basically for Photopea, because of the fact that that function already exists in Google Chrome. I'm not sure how it works if you're using Safari or Firefox or any other browser or Microsoft Edge, but for Chrome it's Control T opens a new tab, so it's avoided that way because you literally can't use it. And so now to import the picture, same thing, file, and then instead of place linked, it's got open and place. So similar, because it's got the word place. Okay, and I'm going to grab literally the exact same picture and I'm going to import it to the file. Make sure all is working out fine. And then now I am going to do pretty much the same thing that I did with Photoshop. I'm going to click on Alt and I'm going to click on Shift and I'm going to raise it up. Now you can see it's moving upwards, right? So I'm going to do something else. Because I'm still in view, I didn't do what I did in Photoshop. I'm going to press on Alt and I'm going to scroll backwards to zoom out. And then I'm going to do the same thing again, Alt and Shift, and I'm going to raise it up that way. But this time I'm actually just going to try and see if I can center it. The good thing is, see the red line up here to tell me that I've reached the center, which is brilliant. And then I'm going to carry on. Okay, I'm going to bring it back down a little bit. There you go, that should be enough. And then even before I click OK, like the check mark, I can actually scroll it down. But I notice it seems slow when I do it that way, so I do tend to accept first, and only when I do that, with obviously the selection tool still selected, I use the arrow keys to scroll down, because it seems to move faster when I do it that way than when it's still in edit mode, so to speak. And so put it on the center and voila, it's perfect. Okay, so now we're going to go back to Photoshop. Within Photoshop, the next step now is we are going to resize the image. Okay, we're going to resize the image, and this is the part I said I was going to explain in Photoshop. Now here's the thing, the square, okay, let me just to give you a really quick idea, let me go back. Where is it? It's over here, shapes, right? This here, okay, it's a PNG file, so I'm just going to click that so that Photoshop can actually open it. Okay, it's going to open it in a new tab in Photoshop. Don't worry, I'm not going to lose this. I still got that over here. Okay, it opens like this. Now the problem with this is, if I was to go and I collect the picture, if it will let me. Why did it do that? That was weird. If I go and collect the picture, okay, and I try to bring it in Photoshop, okay, it will come out perfectly like this. However, even with me clicking Control T, resizing it to perfection like this, right? And then saving it as is, the problem is once it's loaded in the game, it's basically going to look like this in the game. It's literally going to look like this in the game. It's gonna skew up. Because I'm using this as my template, I'm not sure how to exactly get the aspect ratio so that it appears the way I want it to perfectly appear in game. Hence me skipping the step of exporting the square, because all I do is just replace it basically, and I'm going to show you how to replace it in a moment after I resize the image. But the resized image basically ends up being skewed to looking something like this, right? I think it ends up being skewed to looking something like this, you know, something like this. But again, there's no telling exactly how the skewed version of this is going to look, because ideally, right, basically it should be skewed in that manner then, for it to actually appear less stretched out in game. But because I don't know the exact size when it's in this format, it's very, very tricky and something that I personally do not recommend, hence me not using it. So I'm just going to close that, click on no. Okay, and so now back to the regular programming, which is we are about to resize the image so that it fits perfectly in game. All right, so in this instance we are just going to go and click on image, and we're going to click on image size. The pop-up window for the image size should show up, and this basically allows us to be able to resize it. Now, before you go ahead and resize that image, make sure that this little chain thing is not highlighted, okay? If it's already selected, deselect it. And the reason for this is there if you want to maintain the aspect ratio when you're changing up either the height or the width. But in this particular case, the height and the width are not of the exact same aspect ratio, and we're about to change them so that they are identical. And so we don't want the changes we make here to affect the changes here, because we want to be able to manually do it so it is basically identical, if that makes sense. And so in this case, we want it to be 1071p by 1071p. Okay, and after you do that, making sure that this is not selected, click OK, and your picture will be resized and it will be skewed, as you can clearly see. Even when you've got words, the words will look a bit funny, but don't worry about it, because it will get back to the way you had it in landscape mode once you've got it loaded in game. I promise you that. Okay, and so in Photopea, literally this is pretty much the same thing. Image size, change it to, make sure this is not selected. Okay, 171, or you can just literally change that and then put 71, and then you are good and click on OK. As you can see, it does a 1 by 1 because it knows it's exact square, right? I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then after you finish in Photoshop, now I've gone back to Photoshop. Okay, now we're going to save this file. Go to File, and then we're going to click on Export, or should I say hover on Export, and then on the hover of Export we are going to export it as, literally export as. Okay, click on Export As. When you click on Export As, you can even export as PNG. You can see that option was there. That's a quicker method, so that's honestly to your liking if you like. I like to do this because I just want to see a quick little preview. You can see here the format is on PNG. If it's on JPEG or GIF, make sure that you change it to PNG. You've got that option, and you can see it's maintained the 1071p. Go ahead and click on Export, and then it's going to ask you to save it. But because you named it in the beginning, it's already got the name, so you don't have to worry about it. In my case, I save all the shapes because they're technically shapes as opposed to the full landscape. I save them in the shapes folder. So that's the only benefit I suppose there is for exporting the shape, is it automatically creates the shapes folder, and then you can export your stuff there. But after you've done it once, you don't have to do it over and over again, because the shapes folder will be there for you permanently, if that makes sense. And so I'm going to click on Save, And then once you click save, that should close. You can actually go ahead and actually close this. You don't need to save the Photoshop document because this is a one-off. And I'm going to go ahead and I will close Photoshop as well. And over in Photopea, if you are using Photopea, you click on File and you click on Export As, and then you can literally just click on PNG. Okay, when you click on PNG, because you named the project already in the beginning, the name should already be there, and you just click save. Now when you click save, the difference with Photopea is that it's going to download, because remember this is on a browser, right? It's not an application that's actually already on your computer. So it's going to download it, and you just have to, depending on how your computer settings are, you can go ahead and choose where you're going to download it, or it will automatically download in your downloads folder, and in that case you probably will have to move it from there so that you can easily locate it or keep it better organized, basically. And that's pretty much it. So I'm not going to save it because I've already got it saved from Photoshop, so I'm going to close that. Okay, and I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to close that Chrome window. And so now that we have taken care of the picture side of it, we've managed to resize the picture, we've managed to make sure that it's in PNG format. The aim now is to be able to go ahead and go back to JPEGs. Okay, so once you've exported it, it should literally look like this. Okay, it should look like this on your desktop. So remember, JPEGs was only minimized, right? So I'm going to minimize that and I'm going to maximize JPEGs. Okay, so once it's maximized, it's really simple. Go back to the blue shape and right click on it and click on replace. Okay, when you click on replace, you're going to have this pop-up, and within this pop-up, all you have to do is go find the picture that you want to add. Remember, I saved it in shapes. This is a perfect way. When you stay organized in a certain way, it's easy to locate what you're looking for without getting confused with other pictures. So I'm going to double click on shapes, and then I'm going to go to the pink tree on water landscape loading screen, and then I'm going to click open. And once I open it over here, voila, this is what you get. Okay, this is literally how it looks like. And so once you are happy, again, do not worry about the skewing that it's showing you right now. That is meant to be at this stage of the process. Okay, and so the next step that you have to take is basically save it. Okay, you are now saving the GFX file. So when you click save, the save is actually going to highlight in yellow like this. So I'm going to click save. I've clicked save. See how it's highlighted? I've moved the cursor away. Once it has finished saving, the highlight actually goes away. So I'm going to do that once more just so you can see. Save and move the mouse away. It's still orange or yellow, and then it even flickers slightly. And then that's how you know it's finished saving. So whatever you do, do not close JPEGs before it has completed saving. Okay, and so once you have done that, you're actually done with the JPEG. So the next step for you is actually to close the project. So the first thing I do is close the project. If you've got more than one open, you can click on close all, but I've just got the one, so I'm just going to click on close, and then it's going to bring me back to the welcome window. And then afterwards, I'm literally just going to close JPEGs. After I close JPEGs, remember, I never closed Sims 4 Studio. I left the game file cruiser open as well as the warehouse open, but I don't need the game file cruiser anymore because I just needed it to export the binary file. And so I'm just going to go ahead and close that. And then I'm actually going to go back to the files where I have the GFX. So pink tree on water landscape loading screen. There we go, GFX. Because the next step now is we are actually going to rename it. We are basically renaming the file extension back to binary. Okay, so all you have to do is select it and then click on rename, or right click to get rename, click on the end of it, backspace, 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 and then in lowercase binary, and then press enter. It's going to bring up that pop-up screen again, which said the same thing as before. Again, you can press enter to say yes, or click on it with the mouse, and then it's changed back to binary. So now that you've got it changed back to binary, minimize your file explorer, because now we're about to take the final steps of this process. Honestly, it's taking obviously quite a while because I'm giving this tutorial, but when you are doing it by yourself and you're literally not talking to anybody technically, you can do this really fast. As a matter of fact, you probably will be able to be in a position where you can create loads and loads of pictures and then quickly create new package file after one after the other, and just keep importing your images and renaming them really quickly, and before you know it, within a half hour or so, you would have created quite a variety of loading screens. And so now we are going to, as we are back in the warehouse on Sims 4 Studio, the next step we're going to do is actually we're going to click on add. Okay, so when we click on add, we're actually adding what's it called? The scale form GFX. Okay, the scale form GFX which you created earlier on, because now we've closed the other one, we now need to add it here so that we can be able to marry it to the binary. Okay, and so scale form GFX is under S. As you can see, this is alphabetical order, so I'm just going to literally scroll all the way down and then scroll back up slightly. SCA, there it is. Scale form GFX selected, and then we're actually going to be needing this. Okay, we are going to be needing this code. Remember, this is the code that we selected earlier on. Now here's the thing with this code, because we copied it already, it should be on your clipboard. In order to activate your clipboard, if you've never activated your clipboard in Windows, you have to just take the Windows key and then Windows key and V, sorry. Windows key and V should bring up the clipboard, and in my clipboard you've seen that was the last thing that I basically had copied, so it's easy for me to paste it. And so in my case, I'm literally just going to go ahead and highlight the zeros that I want to get rid of, and I'm going to click Control and V, or Command V if you're using Apple, and that should have replaced all the zeros, and then you just have to click OK. When you click OK, you see scale form GFX would have appeared now in the warehouse. Okay, once scale form GFX has appeared in the warehouse, the next step that you need to take is actually select it. Once you select it, you should be able to see a new tab or two tabs open, data and text, and then within that tab section you are now going to be importing the binary file that you just converted back to binary from GFX. So click on import, and then go all the way. You can see any file that is applicable will actually show up. So all these are binary files. So the one that we want is the pink tree on water landscape loading screen, correct? So we're going to select it, and then we're going to click open. Okay, now unlike the normal way that you create custom content, there is no preview, so you just have to trust that this has worked if you have followed every step to the T. Okay, and so in this instant, I am actually just going to go ahead and I am going to save the file. So now I'm going to save it, and when I save it, like Sims 4 Studio, every other custom content, it tells you your package has been saved. Like I said, no preview, so just trust that it has in fact saved your file. So just go ahead and click OK, and then literally close Sims 4 Studio. And then I'm going to go ahead and close the txt file with the code, and then I'm going to go back to my file browser or my file explorer, and then I'm going to go and take the pink tree on water landscape loading screen. Now here's the thing, this is a little bit messy for me. Ideally, my recommendation would be to create, yes, your loading screen folder, your documentation, any applications that you need, maybe download them in there so that you remember them for next time, any images that you want to use, and then obviously to create the shapes folder. But I would also create a folder that I call package files, and then another that I call binary dash GFX files, because the binaries get switched back and forth, right? It get renamed. So that's how I would recommend you organize the folder, because that's how I plan on organizing this folder, so that I don't confuse myself when I have an increased number of loading screens. Just an FYI. And so in this case, I have selected pink tree on water landscape loading screen. I am just going to copy it, and then I am going to go ahead and I'm going to look for my electronic arts folder where I keep my mods I have my game installed on a hard drive. I do not have it installed on my main drive. And so mine is in the D drive. So I go to Sims 4 and then I go to the mods folder, and I'm going to go ahead and just paste it in there. Okay. But after I've gone and pasted the folder, remember I have a previous loading screen that I used before. So I'm just going to go ahead and look for it, which is that one over here. It says colorful landscape loading screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. And the reason why I am deleting it is because I already have a copy of it in the loading screens folder in the other drive. Okay, so when that's done, the final thing I'm going to do, which I always do as standard procedure, is the local thumbnail cache. I don't have any exception errors, so I don't have to worry about that, but I'm going to go ahead and delete that. There's other caches that you can delete. I think like online thumbnail cache, you can delete that. Cache star, I think you can delete that one as well. But for now, the focus is just local thumbnail cache. Delete that and you are good. Your folder is already in there, so you are free to actually, you know, close any additional unnecessary, especially if your computer lags. My recommendation is that you close as many of the folders or windows that you do not need, and then, you know, yeah, that way your game can load faster. So now that we have that in the game, the package file in the mods folder, I'm just going to quickly empty my recycle bin because I don't like it being full. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and click on the Sims 4 to start the game, and I will be seeing you momentarily when the game loads. Okay, so voila, see what I told you? The loading screen has come out absolutely perfect. The screen has not been, the picture has not been skewed. It's still in the perfect format that I resized it to in Photoshop. And so hence I skipped the section for using the square, the blue square or the blue shape as a template, because I'm able to still get it perfectly how I need it to be in game when I skip that step and I actually do the measurements myself within Photoshop. And so yes, everybody, that brings me to the end of my tutorial. I hope you found it very, very useful, and I hope you were able to follow it step by step. Basically, yeah, I hope you can come back again for more tutorials, and if you are new to my channel, please do not forget to give that subscribe button a push, and of course the bell button, so that you can receive notifications every time I upload new content. And of course, please do leave your comments down below if you found this very useful. I shall be having the link to the PDF tutorial available in the description, and I will also be having a number of my loading screens available for download on my website. Please do give this video a thumbs up if you liked this video and you found it useful. I would very much appreciate it, as it helps me in the algorithm. Otherwise, from me, until next time, may you stay blessed and goodbye.
What?